Hi everyone, welcome to beginner yoga. Go ahead and grab a blanket for our practice today and then also a couple of blocks. This is not a Moscow mule, this is actually water. Just to clarify before we begin. And I'd like to start by just coming to a nice seated posture on your folded blanket or even your blocks, whatever feels good to you. And let's start by taking a few cleansing breaths before we move into deep breathing. So inhale through the nose, exhaling through the mouth. Let's do that a few times just to start to get comfortable in our seat. Okay. From here, let's go ahead and start to ground down through the sits bones and lift up through the crown of your head. So create that nice long spine. Draw your shoulders back and down. And tuck your chin slightly. Closing the eyes or giving a nice soft gaze towards the floor. And just breathing in and out through the nose. Nothing fancy here, just really starting to notice the quality of your breath. And don't try to change your breath just yet. Just notice. Let's move right into three-part breathing. So thinking about the lobes of your lungs, start by inhaling and filling the lower lobes of your lungs, moving the breath up into the middle lobes of the lungs, and then filling all the way to the very top of the lungs. And as you exhale, reverse that, emptying the upper lobes, the middle lobes, and the lower lobes of the lungs. Think about drawing your navel towards your spine and really pushing that stale air out of the lower lobes of your lungs. Keep going here, filling the lungs, bottom to top, and then emptying the lungs top to bottom. And just looking to find some stillness. Trying to remove all thoughts. So as a thought comes up, just allowing it to move through. With loving kindness. After your last exhale, gently blinking the eyes open. Give a few shoulder rolls here, back and forward. And go ahead and switch your feet. So switch the foot that's in front and readjust your seat if you need to. And we'll start just by doing some wrist circles here. So bringing the forearms together, lifting the elbows, interlace your fingers and start to make some full circles with the wrists, full circles all the way around in one direction. And continuing to use that 3-part breath. Your breath is your main focus of your practice. Breathe. Any cracking or popping is perfectly normal here. Just continue to move through. Let's switch directions. And then inhale and start to press through the palms. Go ahead and round your shoulders and drop your chin to chest. Exhale, release. Re-interlace your fingers behind you and start to press down through the tops of the hands. If your hands don't reach your mat or your blanket, that's okay. The idea here is just to press down through the tops of the hands and start to lift up through the heart. Maybe lift your gaze or just keep your gaze forward. Exhale, release. Let's give just a few more shoulder rolls back and forward. And then go ahead and bring your hands to your shoulders. And we'll just do some circles. So exhale, draw your elbows together. Inhale, open. And just move in one direction for a few rounds. Switch directions. And release. Shake out your hands. And from here, let's go ahead and come off of the blanket and extend our legs out in front. Go ahead and extend your legs out in front and then just maybe move your hands, give a little massage to the legs here to start to warm up the legs, rubbing up and down a few times. Maybe make some circular motions around the knees. Get everything nice and warmed up here. Some circular motions around the hips. And then lean back into your hands, lift up through your heart, and just shake out the leg bone from the hip socket. Breathe, take a few breaths here. point and flex your feet. And go ahead and make your way into stack posture. So drawing the leg bones back into the hip socket, placing hands next to the hips, pressing down firmly into your mat. Next to your hips here, we'll just start to make some ankle circles. So pressing the toes away and then drawing them back towards the body. And continue with a nice steady breath here. And you can move through this as quickly or as slowly as you like. So whatever feels good in this moment. Keep the crown lifted and try to keep your gaze forward best you can. Think about spreading your toes nice and wide. Switch directions. And then lean back one more time and just shake it out a little bit. Maybe not as far back this time. Point and flex the feet. And then from here, let's go ahead and make our way into a squatting posture. And we're going to just come to the feet. Now you can use your blanket here under your heels if your heels don't make it all the way down to your mat. You can also use a block under your seat if your bottom doesn't come all the way down. The idea in this posture is to keep your heart lifted and your tailbone dropping down. So how far your heels come to your mat is not necessarily relevant, but I'm just going to show you a few ways that you can get into this pose. You can also roll up your mat if you don't have a blanket nearby. So we're going to start here with the blanket under our heels. Now, if you can sink a little lower than this, this might feel a little uncomfortable to you. But the idea here is to start, the balls of your feet will be on your mat, your heels will be on your blanket, and then just bring your elbows to the inside of your knees. Bring your hands together at heart center. And then just take a breath or two here. From here, bring your hands to your mat out in front of you, and we're just going to start to open the knees one at a time. So I'm just going to move my blanket out of the way. If you want to continue to use the blanket, if you need to continue to use the blanket, please do so. Just take your time here. This next round, I'm just going to show you what it looks like if maybe your heels do reach the floor, but maybe your bottom doesn't sink down like you'd like for it to. You can just grab your block. If they don't come straight to the knees, that's okay. If you're here, that's okay. I'd rather you be sitting up nice and tall with a nice open heart than leaning forward like this. So find your best place, whether you're using the block or the blanket, whatever feels good to you. And just take a few breaths here. All right, so from here, we're going to go ahead and bring the hands back down to the mat and start to open the knees once more. So just breathing here. We're just opening up the body and just finding your best place wherever that may be. And then one more time, come on back into your squatting posture. So whatever you need here, go ahead and find what you need. We're going to take 3 more breaths in your best place. All right, bringing hands back down to the mat. We're opening the knees, alternating, opening the knees here. All right, so from here, let's see if we can bring the heels a little closer together. Again, use what you need here. We're going to press down, so they don't need to be super close, but a little closer together. Go ahead and bring your left hand right under your face. We're going to start to press down through that left hand, and then we're going to start to do whatever feels good to you here. Maybe you'll just start, maybe just by bringing the right hand to the right knee. Just a gentle twist. Now, if that feels good to you, maybe lifting fingertips towards the ceiling, and then exhale, bring it back down, opening the knees. So if this is becoming a little bit too much for you, you can always just have a seat and rest for a moment. And let's do the other side. So bringing right hand to center, just under your face. We're going to press down through that right hand. Maybe just bring left hand to left knee, and we're gently twisting here. Breathe. Maybe this feels good and you want to move fingertips towards the ceiling. Just breathe. Exhale, bring your hand back down to your mat. And let's go ahead and sit back for just a moment. Extend your legs out in front. So that is a lot of work. So just take your time through this. And just rub your legs once more. Give your knees a little love here. Maybe give some circular motions around the hip joint, can feel good. A few more times, up and down the legs. All right, let's make our way into tabletop position. So we're going to come into tabletop, and we're going to move through cat-cow. So we're going to do that 3 times. Your wrists are under your shoulders, knees are under the hip bones. Look towards the top of your mat. Take a nice cleansing breath. Draw your navel towards your spine. Inhale, start to lift up through the heart, look forward. Exhale, chin to chest, round your spine, drop your tailbone, empty the lungs. Inhale to neutral. Exhale, draw your navel toward your spine. Inhale, lift up through the heart, look forward. Exhale, drop your tailbone, chin to chest, round the spine, empty the lungs. Inhale to neutral. Let's do that once more. So inhale, lift up through the heart, look forward. Exhale, chin to chest, round the spine, drop the tailbone. Inhale back to neutral. And we'll do just 3 rounds of table to child. So inhale, look forward. Exhale, press the hips towards the heels. Keep the arms nice and long, ears in between the arms. Inhale to table. Exhale, child. Inhale, table. Once more, exhale to child. Inhale back into your tabletop. So from here, I just want you to slide your knee, your right knee, between your hands, and then slide your right foot in so that it's just in front of your left knee. And then go ahead and have a seat back on your bottom if that feels good to you. You can always use a blanket under your seat. If you don't make it all the way down, then just slide your back knee forward just a bit. All right, so see if you can start to square your hips off towards the wall in front of you. Take a nice deep breath in. And then exhale, start to fold at your hip creases and just fold forward. So if you want to use a block under your forearms, you can do that. Breathe. If you want to come all the way down, you can also bring the hands down, bring the forehead down to the mat. One more breath here. And then we're just going to slide the hands so that they're under the shoulders. And on your next inhale, gently press into your hands and roll yourself back up. And just take a few breaths here. All right. So from here, we're going to slide this right foot back in. Bring your knees back to tabletop. And we'll do 3 rounds of table to child. Inhale here at center. Exhale, press the hips back. Wherever you land is okay. Take your time. Inhale, tabletop. Exhale, child's pose. Extended, active arms. Inhale, table. Exhale to child. Inhale back into your tabletop, and we're going to do the other side. So you're just going to slide your left knee between the hands. Slide your left foot in just in front of your right knee. We're going to slide that right knee up and then just have a seat on your bottom. And again, you can bring your block under your blanket under your seat. And we're just going to try to square the hips off the best we can, okay? So wherever you're at is okay. Just take your time. Lift up through the heart. Keep your gaze forward for just a moment. Inhale. And then exhale, start to hinge at your hips, folding forward. So wherever you started to begin with in the first go around, maybe come to that place now. Bring your block out in front. Maybe rest your forearms here. Gaze is forward for just a moment. Take a few breaths here. Maybe you want to move that block and go ahead and bring your forearms down to your mat. Maybe you can bring your forehead to your mat. Maybe just bring your forehead to your block. And one side may feel different from the other, so find the best place for you. Try to relax as deeply as you can into the pose, and we'll take 3 breaths here. Sliding your hands just under your shoulders. Inhale and start to roll yourself back up. Let's take a breath here. We're going to slide this left foot back in. Move our blanket out of the way as we slide the left knee back. Make your way back into your tabletop position. 3 rounds of table to child. All right, once you've made your 3 rounds, let's go ahead and slide the right foot between the hands. So we're coming basically into a runner's lunge here. All right, we're going to start by just grabbing our blocks. We're going to have our blocks on either side here. All right, and let's just start to move back and forth a bit. So inhale forward, exhale back. And just a few times back and forth. And from here, you're going to start to press down into that right hand. And actually, before we go there, let's go ahead and inhale our way up. Interlace your fingers on your right thigh. Lift up through your heart. Take 2 breaths here. Keep the shoulders relaxed away from the ears. On your next exhale, you can go ahead and bring your hands back down to your blocks. And we're going to do a gentle twist here. So it doesn't matter how deeply you move into this pose. What matters is that you can still breathe. So wherever you're at is okay. Take your time. We're pressing down into this right hand. Nice and firm. Our knee and ankle is stacked. On your next inhale, you're going to start to lift this left arm to wherever it is comfortable. If you're here, that's okay. If you just want to bring your hand to your hip, that's also okay. Maybe this feels really good to you. Your heart is open here, and maybe you just want to lift that fingertips towards the ceiling. Take a breath or 2. Exhale, bring that hand back down to your block. And then before we move into the other side, I want you to go ahead and inhale your way back up and release your fingers. Hands come to the right thigh. Lift the heart. Breathe. We're going to just try this. See if you can bring your left elbow to the outside of your right knee. And then maybe extend that left arm and bring your right hand to your right hip. Breathe. Inhale your way back to center. Bring your hands back down to your blocks. Slide your right foot back. And let's go ahead and come into child's pose for just a moment. So extended child's pose. Bring the tip of your forehead to your mat. And let's just breathe here for a moment. All right, when you're ready, let's go ahead and inhale back into tabletop. So if you need your blanket under your knees, please feel free to use that. Don't be shy. Keep your body safe here. Got our blocks. We're going to come back into our tabletop, and you can come to your tabletop with the blocks under your hands if you'd like. And we're going to do the opposite side. So slide that left foot between the hands. And we're just going to start by rocking a little back and forth. So exhaling back, inhaling forward. And then go ahead and come into your lunge from here. First thing we're going to do is we're going to inhale our way up, and we're going to interlace the fingers on top of that left thigh. We're going to lift the heart and take a few breaths here. Exhale, bring your hands back down to your blocks. And we're going to start with a gentle twist. So pressing down into your left hand, we're going to start to lift the right arm. So if you want to just bring your hand to your right hip, you can do that. Just keep your heart nice and open. If this feels really comfortable to you and you want to take it a step further, you can always extend that arm, fingertips reaching towards the ceiling. Maybe lift your gaze or just keep your gaze forward. Exhale, bring that hand back down. You can rock a little back and forth here if you like before we move into the next step. All right, so from here, let's inhale our way back up, interlacing the hands on top of the left thigh. Breathe here for just a moment. Relax the shoulders. We're going to try this twist on the opposite side. So I'm going to see if we can bring on our next exhale the right elbow to the outside of the left knee. And then bringing left hand to left hip. See if you can extend your right arm. Let's take 3 breaths here. After your last exhale and on your next inhale, come on back to center. Exhale your hands back down to your blocks. Slide your left foot back. And we're just going to rest in our extended child's pose for 3 breaths. On your last exhale, slide your hands back under your shoulders. And on your next inhale, gently press into your hands and start to roll yourself back up to seated. Lots of deep work there. Let's take your time here. And we can move the blanket, just scoop your blanket out of the way for a moment. And we're gonna come into pigeon pose from here. So bring your hands to your mat. We can go ahead and move the blocks out of the way here. All right, so to make our way into pigeon, we're just gonna slide the right knee forward. We're gonna come into a modified version of pigeon pose, and just tuck your back toes under and slide your left knee back as far as it'll go, as far as feels comfortable to you. From here, we're just gonna we're sitting back on the heel here. You can always use a blanket for extra support or to fill any spaces that you might have. And this is a little bit of a back bend here while we're lifting up through the heart. So just look forward for a moment and find what feels comfortable to you. Breathe. And on your next exhale, let's see if we can make our way down to forearms. If you want to use a block under your forehead, you can do that here. And let's just take 3 breaths here. After your last exhale, go ahead and press your way back up and start to walk the hands a little closer, maybe under the shoulders here. Lift up through your heart. Take a breath. We're going to slide the left knee back up, slide the right knee back. So we're here in our tabletop once more. Let's sink the hips back into child's pose. And we're just going to give the lower back a little relief here. Maybe resting hands on the forearms this time, or on the hands. All right, come on back into your tabletop position. We're going to do our pigeon pose on the other side. So tabletop, sliding left knee forward this time, and then tuck your back toes and scoot your right knee back. So you want your bottom resting on your heel, or even enclosing any spaces or filling any spaces that you might have between the heel and the bottom with a blanket is okay. And we'll start here by keeping the heart nice and lifted and keeping the gaze forward. On your next exhale, let's make our way down to the forearms. And then again, you can use a block under your forehead here if you like. And you can, if you're here, that's okay. So wherever you're at. Breathe. You can even start your block at a higher height and then start to make your way down slowly. So once you get comfortable with the block at maybe highest height, then start to deepen this pose by bringing the block down once more. And then again, until maybe eventually you make it with forehead to your mat, or even with forehead on hands. All right. So from here, we're going to go ahead and slide the hands back under the shoulders. Inhale our way back up. Lifting the heart, gazes forward, 3 breaths. All right, so from here, we're going to slide this right knee forward, slide the left knee back. We're back into our tabletop position. Exhale, sink the hips back. Make your way into a full child's pose here. Let's bring forehead to top of the hands. And just again, giving the low back a little relief here. Breathing. All right. Slide the hands back beside the knees on your next inhale. Rolling your way back up to seated. And we're going to go ahead and find ourselves back into a nice, easy pose, seated posture. And go ahead and come back to a normal breathing pattern. So maybe even taking a few cleansing breaths here. Inhaling through the nose. Exhaling through the mouth. Just releasing any tension that may still remain in the body. One more breath. Bringing your hands together at heart center. Thank you all for sharing this beginner practice with me today. Peace and blessings to you all. Have a wonderful rest of your day and week. Namaste.